and I am a first-year graduate student at Ohio University in the College Student Personnel Program. I'm currently doing a spring practicum with Wellbeing and Fitness, and welcome to the Wellbeing Talk series. And tonight is week 2, and I have the privilege of having Nick Williams here to talk about purpose, instilling your own sense of purpose. And so tonight we're going to hear from Nick Williams. Next week we're going to be talking about building healthy relationships, and the week after that is talking about resilience. And so tonight, please just listen loud and clear to Nick Williams. He's going to be talking about purpose. We'll have a Q&A at the end in the last 15 minutes. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat. But everyone, please welcome Nick Williams.
Thank you, Liz. So yes, I'll be talking today about purpose. Hopefully helping someone else instill their own sense of purpose, and I'll be telling you my story. I just want to say, well, thanks again to Liz, and also thanks to OU's Campus Recreation. Thank you, Tony, and thank you everybody here that's watching, and also people online. So, I was a student here at OU. This is one of my favorite places of all time, as I'm sure it is for everyone else in here. And I graduated with a journalism degree, news and information major, and I live in Cincinnati. And I actually just got a new job a couple days ago, so excited for that. But yeah, this is where things kind of got started for me. I was in my final semester of college here at beautiful Athens, Ohio. Look at that picture. And it was a pretty busy semester for me. I had an online internship that I had to do for credits, that kind of stuff. And I also had a job. I had a job at the Athens Messenger, covering sports, working with Kevin Wiseman, the editor. And so it was pretty busy. I had 3 classes at this time, kind of finishing up. You know, I guess I was the 5th year, but that's all right. Got it done, right? And so the point being that I was kind of busy, but I didn't really know that I was going to be here in the fall of 2019 because I only had a couple classes left, like I said. And one of them was online, one of them was only 1 day in person, and then one was, a couple days in person. And I knew the professor for one of the classes, and I knew she was cool. I knew she might try to work with me. So I wasn't sure if I was going to be here in person. But like I said, I ended up getting that job with the Messenger, and my parents kind of bailed me out, got me an apartment, let me sublease for a few months just to the end of the semester. So I was pumped up to be back in Athens. We all know what that's like. And at this time, I was in a relationship, 2.5 years, approximately. And, I was excited to be back, be with her, have some more fun in Athens, do her thing, whatever. And then, boom, unexpected. Very unexpected. I think, looking back wasn't as unexpected. You start to see some silver linings, but of course at the time, you're just out of sorts. And that was kind of me. So what did I do? How did I respond to this? I didn't really respond to it. I did what a lot of people do and just kind of try to distract yourself. You start watching a lot of YouTube. I still watch a lot of YouTube, but nothing like this. This was just bad distractions. You try to hang out with friends a little bit. Just a lot of temporary fixes, things that you hope to just kind of fill the void even for just a little bit, just to kind of take your mind off of things. But slowly but surely, I started to realize these distractions aren't working so well for me. And I was watching, like I said, I watched a lot of YouTube. So I would see this guy's face on these thumbnails, and that's him. This is David Goggins. I would see his face all the time. I'm like, who is this guy? And something in my subconscious told me not to really click on it, because with the titles were more like, how to harden your mind and how to be tougher and all these things. I didn't want to hear that. I didn't want to do that. I want to just sit here and try to survive this semester. That was my mentality. Survive the semester, graduate, try to get a job somewhere, just get through it, just survive. But that's no way to live. And something else I started to realize was, it is more than just this breakup. This breakup's really affected me, and it would have, even with who I am now, it still would have upset me quite a bit, but I would have had a response. I had no response. So I started to realize, well, maybe there's more of me in these issues than than I believe, at least at the time. So I saw one of these videos. I watch a lot of Joe Rogan. I don't want to be stereotypical, college age guy, but I watch a lot of Joe Rogan, and mostly for his guests, not so much for Joe himself, but just he has a bunch of different people on there, so I thought he was cool. And I kept getting the recommended videos on the side. And like I said, I saw this guy on the thumbnail. I'm like, well, I'm lying in bed doing nothing else. Might as well just click on this video. I'm clicking on every other one. Then I watched this guy, and that was like a huge turning point for me. And something I think a lot about is that moment of me, I have nothing going on. I'm not responding. I know I need to do something. And watching that video was like the first initial spark. So who is he? He grew up very rough, had a lot of, pretty much every single issue one person could have, he's been through it, been there, done that. Racism, he grew up in a place where the KKK's headquarters was like 20 minutes down the road. He was obese, he was 300 pounds a couple times in his life. His father was very abusive. He was an alcoholic, he ran prostitutes, he was just an all-around bad guy. And also because of that, his mother leaves, so he's living in a single mother home. And he has a variety of health issues. He has sickle cell trait. He has a hole in his heart. Just all these problems. He has a learning disability. When he was in high school, when he was junior high school, he had like a 3rd grade reading level because he just didn't go to school. It was not a priority in his life. But eventually he ended up becoming this Navy SEAL, and he's also a Air Force TAC-P, Army Ranger, Delta Force selection. He just became everything. He became who he wanted to be. He's also an ultra athlete, ultra marathons, broke the pull-up record in 24 hours. Best-selling author, his book Can't Hurt Me. And overall, he's just an example of mental toughness. A guy that athletes look to, business people look to. So I was like, man, if he can do all that with this, it's like, you shouldn't compare yourself, of course, but it is true that, man, if you could do that, like, what could I do with this? Not being so far down. And, it's impressive what he did. His athletic achievements, what he did in the military, that was very impressive. But the thing I needed the most at this time was honest self-talk. Being able to look in the mirror and tell yourself what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And also I needed to, have a real reason to want to be better. And so having a purpose, that was a big thing I got from him. And also his sense of potential. He went from, he was at such a disadvantage his entire life, and then rose to become something so much greater than he should have been. He had every excuse in his life to not be anything, but he wasn't. And also there's this one analogy that he talks about all the time. And this kind of scared me. His analogy is, he's 300 pounds like he was. His job was he sprayed for cockroaches. That was his job. He worked at Ecolab and sprayed down restaurants. And his analogy was that he would die, just a normal guy, working this job, didn't make much money. This didn't become what he ended up becoming. And he goes to heaven, and I think this works if you're religious or not. It's this idea of unfulfilled potential. He goes to heaven, there's a list of everything he should have been. Navy SEAL, all these things I have listed here. And God looks at him and says, or he looks at God and says, well, okay, that's me, like on the name, but those things aren't me. I didn't do any of that. And then God will say, that's who you were supposed to be. This idea that he could have just stayed right where he was if he hadn't done something about it. And he had all this potential within him. It was there the whole time. So, with that being said, I was like, well, I need to be honest with myself. And something that you need to do is maybe embellish a little bit. So these are some of the things I said. I said to myself, I said I was lazy. It's the truth. Maybe not so much to the point that I was making it, but it was true. I had a weak mind, out of shape. Just a little connection to who you are, body, mind, and spirit. Nothing's really linking up here. I'm just kind of going through the motion, and I get through college, this breakup's destroying me because I have nothing. I have nothing to fall back on, and that's what That may scare me. So what I needed was more of that, more raw self-talk. Be honest with yourself. We live in a world where people want to tell you what you want to hear. Your friends will tell you that, oh, you're good, man. Just take it easy. You're fine. There's nothing wrong. But there is something wrong. And you need to have that sort of, mentality with yourself. That there is something wrong and I do need to fix it. I do need to do something. So I wanted to be comfortable. In college, anything I wanted, I did. If I want to get wings over tonight for the third time this week, I'll do it. Why not? If I want to hang out with my friends, I'll do it. It's college. I'm supposed to have fun. I'm supposed to do my thing. Or, my girlfriend. Every waking hour of the day, if either of us aren't busy, let's hang out. Let's do this. Let's watch a movie. It's just these things that are not bad things inherently. When they go past the point of moderation, that's when things become a problem. This idea of too much of a good thing. And I just started realizing things. But it was just from watching that video for the first time, and then I watched the entire thing. I watched every single podcast, listened to them. At this point, hundreds of times. I became obsessed with this guy. I was like, wow, these are some answers. And another big thing was just be alone. Like I said, I was with people all the time, hang out with friends, doing whatever. I needed to just be alone. I hadn't really spent much time by myself to, have some quiet. The world's too noisy. Everything's too noisy. So these were some things that I knew I needed to start doing. And what I wanted, that heaven analogy was a big, had a big impact on me. I wanted to, go from this, where you feel so bad about yourself. What if you can go from this to becoming someone you never thought you could be? That's what I want. If I can go from here to here, how would I feel? I feel so bad right now. That was, of course I could take you back there and kind of put you in my mind. Had, like I said, weak mind. And I was just so consumed by this. Couldn't believe it. So why running? I said, you know what? I got to do something. I have to be uncomfortable. I have to be alone. I have to do something that sucks every day. That's one Godwin's saying, one of his many things. Running checks off all three of those. I didn't like it. I didn't have any real, good history in it. I would try to run every now and then. I would get motivated. It's springtime. It's nice out. Let's go run. Let's go run a mile here, a mile there, whatever. And I would quit. I would get, up to that honeymoon phase of running. I'm active. I'm healthy. Oh, this is great. You're telling people about it. All this stuff. But then once things start to get uncomfortable, I quit because I didn't have a real reason to do it. The reasons were shallow. I want to look better. I want to, feel better physically. I want to be more attractive for this person. That kind of stuff. And also, why running? It was very efficient. You go into these states of I want to quit. I need let's stop. You go into that state very quickly when it's a physical activity. I want to quit. What? This is done. Let's get out of here. So I knew that this would be the most efficient thing for me, was running. Bad history, but I knew that this is what I could do to get better. And also, at this time I had very little drive. I'm sad about the breakup, I'm graduating. It was really just a lot to let go of in a short amount of time. And when you have not a great connection to who you are, that's difficult because you're trying to hold on to the things that are leaving. Athens is gone. Your ex-girlfriend, she's gone. And then you're left with, I haven't really worked on myself as much as I should have. I went through the motions of college, and I did well in college. I had a good GPA, had some good experience. But it was just, the idea was, I'm not failing. I haven't failed at anything. But I just should have been a lot better in a lot of areas. So that was the idea. Look at some of these times. Maybe to some of you that would be a decent time, but for me, those were, if you look at my watch now, it looks a lot different than that. That's where I started. You got to start somewhere. You can't really see it there, but that's just the bike path. Those routes every single day was just on the bike path. That's where I started. Right out there by the football field, I would walk down. I lived at Courtyard Apartments, whatever, place to live for a few months, whatever. Went down and I would go, that's where I would start running. It was right there on the bike path. And I didn't know what I was doing. I could have contacted people. I have a lot of runner friends. I might mention here a little bit, track coaches from the high school I went to. I could have contacted people, but I'm a very stubborn person, and I like to do things alone. I like to figure things out alone. In class, I would never ask for help. From a teacher, I don't want your help. I want to try to figure it out. And, I was alone in these moments. And I wanted to figure it out alone. I wanted to figure it out on the fly. So just start running. Just put your shoes on, go run. So it is. I ran in basketball shorts for months. I ran in basketball shorts until like spring, until the next spring. I started in fall. I ran basketball shorts until spring. I didn't know what I was doing. I had bad shoes, terrible shoes, like the $40 super basic Nike shoes that you see at Kohl's or whatever. And I had little knowledge of running. I tried a couple of times, wasn't good at it, didn't know anything about pace, heart rate, none of that stuff. But I just had to start. And what I realized was, this was going to be a long semester, very long. It wouldn't just fly by if I just tried to distract myself. Like, this is going to be a long semester. So you better get used to it. And, nothing came overnight. We all know that. Nothing comes overnight, especially running. It takes a long time. It takes a long time to build that aerobic base that I didn't have. There are no quick fixes either. We live in a world where if you want something, you get it immediately. You want to get food from anywhere, you can find it. DoorDash it, whatever. I want to watch a video. If I want to watch whatever movie I can think of, or a TV show, whatever, I can find it on here. In this world where we can get anything we want as quickly as we want everything else to be that way. I want to get in shape faster. I want to do all these things. I want to get over this breakup as quickly as possible. That's not how it works. And we've heard this idea of a new normal recently with coronavirus. This idea that we're going to have to deal with this. This is your new normal. This is what we're going to deal with. I heard this in the fall of 2019. I was like, your new normal is you wake up, you go outside, you run in the cold. That's what you do. That's just what we do now. And it helped me out a lot to just get out there and just do it. Just shut up and just do it. So I started to find some consistency with it. And like I said, it doesn't come overnight. It was a non-linear path. As you can see here in October, I put in some decent runs. But then in November, you can see less runs. I am getting better, pace-wise, but less runs. I hit a couple blocks, hit a couple roadblocks where, things started getting back in my head because I was just getting past this honeymoon phase, like I talked about earlier. You feel good, and you're just going, and you're like, yeah, I'm active. Let's go. I hit a wall, but I started to find ways to get past that. Anybody who knows me knows I don't like social media. I'll talk about that. I'll talk about that here on the next slide. But I wasn't quiet about it. Not like how I am now, where I just, I don't talk about it and I just do my thing. But at this time, I wanted people to know. I wanted some people to know, hey, I'm out here 5 days a week. I'm running, I'm lifting, I'm finding a way to, get over this and get better because of it. But that was not the way to go. There's no point in doing that. And that's what I started to realize. So, a lot of times we're looking to be motivated from the outside. I learned to look within. The greatest story ever told is your own, because you know all the little details. And that used to hurt me, that no one really knew what this was like for me. I didn't like that. But then I realized, well, that's great, because no one knows. So you can use this for yourself. Look within. Stop, trying to find it in a book. It's not a book you read or a movie you watched. It's your own life. And when that's your source of inspiration, what's going to stop you? You don't need to wait for something to come along its way. It's there, and you just pull it out of yourself, and there it is. So I hate the cold. I still hate the cold. And when I started running in late September, I knew it was going to be cold out. And but once again, that's my new normal. Go outside and you run. So I started to flip negatives into positives. Little social activity. I mean, my friend groups are kind of split at this point because of this breakup. But something I realized was, when you're in these groups, you're kind of lost. You're just there. Like, people are there. People come and they go, right? Some people. Of course, there are great people you want to keep in your life, but what I realized was these people aren't all that great. People who might be saying things, whatever, won't go into it, but you start to realize, like, this is better for me. I was like, oh, I'm not hanging out with people much anymore because I knew that these distractions weren't working. Mutual friends, they're not accessible anymore. That would be a stupid thing to try to do. So I realized, well, whatever, I'm doing my own thing now. And also just the timing of the breakup, like I said, I was so excited to be back. Oh, this sucks. Like, this is terrible. So whatever, like, this is the time to be the man now. This is the time to really turn this around. Because I started to realize that it doesn't have to be negative. It's powerful, right? I don't want to sound like a hippie, but it's all energy. And if you can take it and flip it in a way, you can start to use it for yourself. Instead of it being a problem, it now propels you forward. And something else that propelled me was, like, I'm showing up. I'm sore, I'm tired. I gotta go cover this game. I gotta write this article. I have this project due, but I'm still outside running. So I mentioned it a little bit ago, social media. I hate it. And I started to realize just how stupid it is. And you can have your own opinions. Social media is great. The official OU Twitter is a great thing. It lets students know what's going on, that kind of stuff. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is people who are trying to create an image. And when you're trying to find your own purpose, your own drive, looking at all this, I love me, I'm great, my life is perfect, that doesn't do anything for you. That's a bad effect on you because you're looking outside and you're thinking, oh, like, I'm not good enough at anything. So, and another thing was, like, it takes up so much time. I mean, I do that with YouTube. I can sit on YouTube all day. You know what I mean? It's the same thing with Instagram, Twitter, whatever it is. It takes up a lot of your time. And you don't even remember what you did. You sit there for hours and look at stuff. It's all just mindlessness. There's no mindfulness behind it at all. So people want to post their highlights. They post this false confidence in themselves that they're great. It's a manufactured image. It's fake. Goggins has a great quote. Social media is a great place for us to tell others who we want to be, not who we are. This is the image I want other people to have of me. This isn't who I am, but this is what I want other people to think of me. And kind of like what I said earlier, it alters you because you're trying to work on yourself. What's the point? You're wasting your time, and these people, I mean, they're lying to you. They're just straight up lying, or they're embellishing their lives in a big way. My relationship's perfect. Everything is great. I have, new car, new hair. It's not conducive to finding what you need in your own life. And I need to compare myself, me versus me. Even as short as, a month or two ago, I wouldn't have even thought about going outside. It's raining outside, and I wouldn't have done that. No way. I needed to just be alone. I needed to have quiet time. That's what I needed. And social media did not play along with that. So post-graduation, I ended up graduating, got it done. I ran into a couple unexpected things, injuries. I got injured a couple times, and I had to substitute it. And this goes along with, it's not about the running, it's about what I get out of it. So when I got injured the first time, I started rucking, which is what military people do. Put weight on your back and you walk. So I did that, and then I got right back into running after I healed up my foot. I got right back into it, running 6 or however many miles it was at that time a day, and ended up injuring my other foot from an overuse injury. So I'm like, oh, so I realized I need to start stretching when doing these kinds of things. Not for the physical part, but I need to be physically prepared so that I can push myself mentally. Like, if the body's not there, then what's the point? Like, why am I doing this? I started being more uncomfortable. Okay, I got past this stage. I have a decent foundation. What can I do? I need to increase mileage. I need to run more. I started running 6 days a week after I graduated, and I needed to start using this new foundation. I have something, I have a drive, I have a purpose, I overcame this and this and this. That was a reason to keep going, not a reason to stop. You know. And then coronavirus. Everyone knows about that. It was just another mental challenge for me. Like, how can I use this to my advantage? You know, like, while so many people are down, and it makes sense, there's no, you know, it's okay that you're down and you're upset about coronavirus, but, you know, how can I push myself forward to this? It's like, this is just another obstacle. That's how I started looking at things. And then, so just some recent things I've been doing. I've run every day since June of last year, every single day. I hate it. Waking up and never having that day again where you think to yourself, oh, it's an off day. You can just hang out, you know, drink a lot of water, do whatever, watch a movie. There is no off day anymore. And the reason why that is I am afraid of becoming complacent. I don't want to lose this edge that I've created. And I run, even on vacation, you can ask Connor Kirk about that, even on vacation. Out west in Moab when it's 105 degrees outside, doesn't matter. This is what you do now. This is your new normal. This is what you do. And on holidays, it's Christmas. Take time off. It's Christmas. Makes no difference. Time doesn't care, you know, about your expectations. At the end of college, I'm going to graduate. Wait, my girlfriend to graduate. We're going to live together. All these things didn't happen. The point being that time is indifferent to what you want or what you expect. And also another great guidance quote, plug him again, I'll keep talking about him. He said that, you know, we sleep a third of our lives, and we think we can take days off. We sleep a third of our lives. 33% of our lives, we're unconscious. And we think we can, oh, I'll push it back until tomorrow. It's not how it works. And I did something a week and a half ago that I'm still kind of mentally and physically really recovering from, 4x4x48, where you run 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. It was terrible. Absolutely hated it. Remember, I hate running. Don't forget that part. That's the most important thing here. I hate running. And I hate running 12 times in 2 days. I hate running 48 miles in 48 hours. I hate getting up at 3 a.m. and going on a run. It's not fun. You know, I had little sleep, and I was hungry. You know, all your systems are completely thrown off. So that was my hardest thing I've done so far, probably physically and mentally. It was very tough. And so these are just a couple things I have coming up. The Buck 50, I got involved in this through my friend Seth Farmer. It's a 150-mile relay race. I'm not running 150 miles. It's between 10 people. You can do teams of 5 or teams of 10. We'll be doing it. And this is in Chillicothe area, Ross County. And this benefits the drug-free lives of America. So I started thinking, you know, how can I still do what I want to do, but also, you know, make a wider impact than just myself and my own mind? I can suffer through these things and raise money for charity. It sounds like a great idea, and it's something that I want to do. Zach Farmer 5K, I ran that last year. I had a terrible time. My actual time was not good. So I'll redeem myself this year, knock a few minutes off. This benefits Zach Farmer Cancer Assistance Foundation. I went to school with Zach Farmer. I mean, there's so much I could say about him, but I'll just keep it short. You know, he was a great person, great athlete, was scouted by MLB teams, was drafted by MLB teams. He ended up getting leukemia, and unfortunately ended up passing away from it. But, you know, that's a great foundation. So I'm kind of plugging that. And then also, Seth is related to Zach. Zach was Seth's uncle, my friend Seth. And we want to do an ultra marathon and do it for this foundation. So just kind of plugging that. And then also, I would love, if there's any sort of connection that could be made, I would love to raise money for the food pantry here in Adams County. If there's anybody out there who might be watching, they could help me out with that, and, you know, kind of get me connected. I would love to do that. It was made very popular by Joe Burrow, of course. So I was watching that a couple days ago, and I thought of that. I was watching his Heisman speech, and I was like, I would love to do something for that. So key takeaways, I'm not an expert. I'm still figuring things out for myself. I have a lot to do. I have, at least, hopefully I have as much time. I have decades of, work to do in this area. It's never ending. So I'm not an expert, but I'm out there doing it. So just a couple things I learned along the way in my short time so far. It needs to be personal. Something I say to myself is it needs to be ridiculously personal, to a point where skipping a day is just unfathomable to you. And you need to find your own version. Maybe it's not running. Johannes will be talking next week. I know Johannes. And he'll be talking about building friendships, like the main theme being community. A lot of people want to help others, people want to be nurses to help others. Find your own sort of thing and pursue it in whatever avenue you choose. And also use your own life. Like I said, movies, TV does not compare to what your own life is. And also with social media, those kind of things, cut them out. People who are negative, you'll start to see it. Once you start doing your own thing, things will become so clear. You'll start to look at your life from an objective point of view instead of being trapped by all the stuff going on. So cut those people out, cut all that stuff out. And also just be patient. Nothing comes overnight. Things are still very hard. Even something that's like a 5-mile run is terrible sometimes. I'm like, oh my God. I'm not even halfway through. I'm like, is this done yet? Like, am I done? So nothing comes overnight. It'll always be hard. It can take a lot longer than you expected to take. I thought, when I first started, I'll start running, I'll feel good about myself, and then I'll be fine. It's still an everyday thing. I'm over the fall semester, totally, of course, but there's a lot more to be done. And it's not linear, up and down. You get injured, you start to lose motivation, you lose your sight of purpose. It's not linear. But there are 2 guarantees that I can tell you from what I've done so far. It will be hard. It will test you in ways you didn't think it would. But it will be worth it. You will feel this, and it will be worth it if it's the 48-hour challenge or if it's just a 5-mile run. Doesn't matter what it is. That's all I got. Thank you.
Nick and I are going to get over here. Okay, does anyone have any questions for Nick? Yeah.
We do have a question that popped up right in the chat here from one of our viewers virtually, Kevin Pruska. I hope I'm pronouncing your last name right, Kevin. We all know that it can be super difficult to roll out of bed every morning and run, for example. Do you have any tips for staying consistent and sticking with it?
Yeah, I think it just goes back to having a deeper meaning. Like, why are you doing it? Like, knowing the questions, having answers to these questions, because they do pop up all the time. You're like, why am I doing this? There have been times, every day I have that question. Like, why? Like, why am I doing this? It needs to be personal. And also, I think when I talk about with the new normal, this is just what you do now. You just wake up and that's what you do. It's not that it's something that you put on top of what you have going on in your life. You put it in there. It's part of it. In my opinion, that's the best way to think about it.
Perfect. Thank you, Kevin.
What were some of the things you told yourself, not only to just get you to roll up out of bed and start, but also like during that run, how you're saying some runs obviously were harder than others?
Yeah. I'm a very visual person. I like to think in, visual thing. I said that I lived at the courtyard, and I would get done running. I'd be tired. I had class earlier in the day or whatever, and I walked down to Richland. I didn't want to drive because parking in Athens, we all know how stupid that is. I didn't want to park anywhere, so I just walked. I'd be tired, sore, all these things going on, whatever. And I had this mountain to climb, like Everest, like Mount Everest, Courtyard Apartments feels like. So that's something I think about. I think about, these images a lot of, Courtyard. Like I'm tired, I have all these things going on, I still have one more thing to do. It's like, I need to get through it, I need to do this. And also just the image of the bike path. I hate that place. I hate it. I was out there today for an hour and 54 minutes on that bike path. But it's thinking about these images. And I do have some mantras, I guess. But you'll figure that out as you go.
My question is, and I have a quick comment as well. I think one of the most inspiring things, Nick, about your presentation and kind of what you talked on was not only did you find like a sense of purpose in something, but it might be an example on the opposite front. For me personally, I'll say I enjoy running, and it's still difficult to do it. So I think I really admire and respect that about you, that you were able to find something that you absolutely don't really have an interest in, and really have that push you mentally. So that's just my comment there. Just commend you for that. My curious question is, as a fitness professional, what's your mileage like right now? Like, talk us through like your week as far as how many miles are you running? I know you said currently no days off, but what does that look like on an average?
Yeah, well, I was injured not too long ago, actually. I'm not saying do this, but I ran through an injury. I've done it a couple times. I'm sure that you're cringing about that. But when I'm healthy, it's at least 50 a week. At least 50.
Wow.
So, that's an average of 7 a day, a little over 7. Last week I did 55. So, like, I'm working back up. It's between 50 and 70 when I'm feeling decent. And I want to get that as high as I can.
And no runner's high at all? No runner's high for you? You get it? Okay.
But it's not, I think it's more of a mental thing than it is, just like chemical, physical,
Right.
you have all this stuff going on. Yeah,
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate taking the question.
All right, thank you. Nick, I'm going to go ahead and just ask about your podcast. Can you tell us more about the Disappointed Fan? I know you wrote that in your biography, and I think just for everyone watching and listening, can you tell us more about your podcast?
Yeah, well, I really started that, so I'm a Reds fan, and I'm a Bengals fan from Ohio, and I'm disappointed constantly, so that's kind of where the name came from. So, but funny enough, I actually deleted my, sports things I talked about. That was about baseball and, football, whatever. And on there, I have, a few things where I'm just talking about running. A lot of what we talked about today. I have some of that on there. I have just, little stories. I talked to my friend Seth, who I mentioned. I don't have a big audience. I'm not Joe Rogan. But, I put some things on there every now and then. I talked about the 48-hour challenge on there. I kind of go into details. So if that's something you want to hear more about, that's on there. I talk like 40 minutes on my own about that. So, it's just something, but maybe somebody can get something out of it. If so, that's great. If not, I just talk to myself for a little while, but that's fine.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you. And then I think will you just talk some more about examples of what it looks like to have motivation versus purpose?
Yeah, being motivated is that's what I did when I, would try to run during college earlier on. Like I said, it's nice outside, girlfriend's happy, I have another year in Athens, I feel like I need to lose some weight. That's motivation. I think a big, example that really highlights this distinction is during the 48-hour challenge. I'm 8 sessions into this out of 12, 32 miles into this challenge, and it's 3 a.m. I'm tired. I'm completely sleep deprived. I'm hungry. My schedule's totally thrown off. Everything's just out of whack. There's no motivation there. I'm not motivated to get up and go outside at 3 a.m. to go run. It's scary. It's scary out there. I'm running around in a neighborhood. It's completely dark. There's nobody out there. I saw a bunch of deer when I was running scared me really bad. There's no motivation there. It has to come from, a much deeper place. Otherwise, I wouldn't have, done any of it. If I relied on motivation to get me up and to go run, I would run maybe one day a week. Maybe one day a week, especially, during winter. It's 15 degrees, snowing sideways. I have this picture, I should have put it on there. I had this picture of me after I was done running. I had a beard at this point, and it's like covered in snow. I'm not motivated to go outside and go run. I hate running. It's cold. I'm sore. I'm hungry. Maybe I ran out of weird time. I'm starving. Those things are motivation. If all those things are aligned, it's motivation. Like if the stars are aligned, I'll go run today. They can be wherever. It's what I have to do.
Yeah, thank you so much for talking more about that. I think something else I wanted to touch on was just knowing the changes that kind of happened once you did start running often, physical changes that started to happen. So what is it like, and kind of what's the significance about others not seeing your progress when it comes to not posting on social media, when kind of all of those changes started to happen physically with weight and just things like that? Like, kind of what's that significance of other people not seeing that?
Yeah, I think it just goes back to, it's not about them. I'm not here to impress other people. Even today, there were no pictures of me even on there. I have a few photographer friends, I have a couple in the room right now, who could make me look like a Greek god out there running. I could totally do that. I could do that, and I could post some transformation pictures that would be quite astonishing. I could. Who cares? It's not about other people at all. I'm not interested in what you're doing, and I don't really care if you know or not. So, when it gets to that point, and when I don't like social media, why would I even put it on there? It's for me. I did it alone. Why would I, at that point, bring people in? What's the point? Because then I'm looking for attention. I'm looking for a compliment. But when you get that from yourself, okay. You think it's great? That's fine. You think I'm a loser? That's fine. You think I'm the most average person on the planet? That's fine too. You become indifferent to what other people think, do, say. And a lot of people say that. A lot of people say that they don't care. I don't care what people think about me. But they do. It's when you're indifferent, you disregard everything. You disregard the positive and the negative. Okay, I have something I need to do, and that these external factors make no difference. What it is.
Yeah. Was that difficult for you in just transitioning to starting to run every single day? Knowing that, I know that you said you have to do that, right? Was that a hard transition?
I knew physically I'd be okay, because I'd kind of taken this beating so far, 6 days a week. But it's mentally, can I deal with that? It's like what I talked about earlier. You never have that day where you're just I have nothing. I can just lay down and do nothing. And of course, I've had days where I had not much going on besides running, of course. But you just you never have that time off. And what that does to your mentalities, I can't really explain it. These are just words. That's why this is about other people, finding their own version of it, because it's thinking versus feeling. That's what it is, if I today I ran 15 today. If I thought about that, things would be different. But during the run, I was just how do I feel right now? I had a bottle with me. I had my Gatorade, I had my Goose. How do I feel? It's just going off feel. And when I first started running, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't think so much about it. I just kind of went out and did it. So, yeah, it's having that's my new normal. You run every day. That's it.
That's amazing too, even just thinking about, I know you said that you were averaging about 6 to 7 miles, but 15 miles a day, and then obviously that's about 48 hours now, and it's just, something that, yeah, I think that the next question is just are you proud of that? And are you proud of yourself being able to accomplish these ongoing, goals that, or are they goals, right? Or is this just something, right? Because it is kind of your sense of how you gain purpose. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess like, are you proud of yourself when it comes to accomplishing things like that?
I don't think proud is the right word. I recognize my progress, I guess, but it's not that I'm proud. It's like I'm very happy with my progress because I think because for me, and this is just me talking. If I start to say I'm proud, that starts to get into this area of complacency because then I start to think, oh, well, you've done such a great job. Take a day off. You deserve it. I don't deserve it. In my mind, I don't deserve anything. Tomorrow's a new thing. Like when tomorrow rolls around, I ran 15 a day. Who cares? It doesn't matter. I had to do, I had to do something new each day. Like each day is just a different challenge. So, yeah, I'm not really proud of it. I don't really look back on these runs like, oh, I'm proud I, ran a 70-mile week. I'm proud that I set a 5K PR like 2 days before the challenge. Whatever, man. Like, I'm not proud of it. It's just something I did, and tomorrow I have something new to do.
Absolutely. All right, thank you so much, Nick. Do we have any other questions in the chat or anyone else? Yeah, Andrew?
Yeah, Nick, so I know you said that you dislike running, but it's really like the purpose of like why you do it. But I know that you love the outdoors as well. But has there been a favorite place that you've ever run, like outside, or I know you've been to some national parks, so what's your favorite place?
My favorite is probably, I live in Cincinnati, east side. So probably it's the Newtown bike path. You know what I'm talking about. I like that place because it's a straight stretch. I like doing out and backs. I don't like, running around in loops because then you give yourself a chance to stop. If you run like a 2-mile loop and I'm running 10 miles, I get to that 8-mile part and I'm like, oh, that's good enough. That's fine. When you run out and backs, you don't have a choice. If you want to stop halfway through, have fun walking for an hour and a half, So that's probably my favorite place. I liked running in Moab. Connor knows about that. That was terrible. But that's why you do it. It's another challenge. So yeah, I mean, I don't really have like a specific place that I like the most. It's really just whatever is most convenient, I guess. And that is one good thing about running. You can really do it just about anywhere.
So obviously, aside from just like the change in running and your change in your physical well-being, if we were to compare like 2019 Nick to who you are now, what are the biggest changes about you that we can't see? The stuff on the inside.
That's what I care about. Are the things that no one has any idea. I think it's the word I talked about earlier was indifference. It's the things that used to get under my skin. I don't care. Things that are and also I have a great sense of what I can control now. Like if I can't control something, there's something going on with. Joe Biden said this, Trump said that. Like what? That doesn't affect. That has nothing to do with me. Or if I start thinking about something from the past, something that bothered me. These things pop up. You're human. I don't care about them anymore. Like it'll hurt me for a second. I'll think about something. Whatever. I have my own thing going on. So yeah, I mean that's probably the big thing. And I think also just that sense of accomplishment that nobody else really understands. I can try to put it into words, but it's like what I talked about earlier with thinking versus feeling. Like I feel these things totally differently. And I think one more thing is that it's just it's a pure pursuit. It's like this is good because we all know. We have yin and yang in our heads. So we know when we're doing something that's good. We constantly have these battles in our own heads. And I feel like this is good. And I know that. And I explained it today, but If you don't get it, that's fine. Like I know, it's like I know my own truth, I guess, because I'm constantly, I have to face that every day. And yeah, and the thing is, to feel good about yourself, you don't need to run 48-hour challenges. You don't need that. It can come in a 5-mile run. It can come, if I run a 5K and then I go inside and I lift, or if I stretch out, if I got my stretching and I did my foam roll and I got ready for the next day, or if I hydrated well. It's these little things. It doesn't have to be big, huge achievements. You don't need that. And I think that's something that kind of gets lost in all this, that you have to do something crazy. It needs to be small, incremental improvements, and that will build into something bigger than you thought it could.
Do you think hating running was what made it, I guess, such like a hard thing to get into? Like, you know what I mean? Like, to develop that purpose, do you think that like step of not enjoying it is something that's absolutely necessary? Or do you think it's more about the action itself?
I think it doesn't have to be something you hate, but it has to be uncomfortable. I think that's the big thing. And that can come in a number of ways. Somebody that's uncomfortable is studying for 6 hours. That's uncomfortable. That gives you a sense of purpose. You've done something difficult. So you don't have to hate it. And, it's like what Tony asked about the runner's high. I do kind of get that. Like it comes, I'm a human and chemical things going on. It comes, but yeah, you don't have to hate it, but it does need to be uncomfortable. You need to push yourself just a little bit every time. Like, can I pick up my pace here? Can I do this? But it is very beneficial when you do hate it, because you're like, I hate this. I have all these negative variables in my way, but I'm still out here doing it. I think that's a big thing. And you're only visiting this world for, I don't know. I mean, today was a longer run. It was almost 2 hours. But on normal days, if I'm outside running, 7 miles, that's 50 something, 40, whatever, between 45 minutes and an hour, whatever. You're only there for a little bit. You're only there for 1 out of the 24 hours. Like, so you don't have to hate it, but you do need to be effort.
So in your pursuit to find purpose, let's say you stumble upon what you find and it becomes a unhealthy obsession. What's your best advice to keeping away from the unhealthy obsession?
That's a tough question. I don't think it would become unhealthy unless you're straying from what your true purpose is, I guess. Like if you're acting in accordance to what you really want, I don't think you'll go off the rails. So I think if that does happen, you should reassess your thought process whenever that occurred. Yeah, I think because we all know when we're on the right path. We have these innate feelings. We all know. So I think in that instance, it might be, listening, like really listening to like the true voice in your head that we all have. I think that'd be probably the best advice.
Other questions? I've got one quick comment before we turn it over to Liz to kind of wrap things up. I know we've got 4 minutes remaining, but Nick, I just wanted to say, I know you're a humble dude. Obviously, that's clear in the way you portray yourself, and we are so thankful to have you here to kind of share your story. So I would continue to encourage you to share your story whenever you get the chance to do so. I was inspired, and I'm really thankful to have had you for our series. But I think you showed one thing that's really powerful. At Ohio University, we define well-being as personal well-being as 4 different elements. We brought you in to talk today about purpose, but you showed us today, and we're able to connect the dots, that it's about, your sense of achievement. It's about your ability to cope with and build resilience, and also about, you talked about the relationships. You have relationships with people that may not have been as impactful or deep as what you were able to find what those meaningful relationships were and really hone in on those. So I think you showed us all like the connection between the mental aspect of all 4 of those elements of well-being, even though your topic with today was instilling a sense of purpose. So just wanted to say thank you for coming out today, and we really appreciate, because we know you came in from Cincinnati. So I'm gonna turn it over to Liz to close things up for us tonight.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say thank you so much, Nick, and I think that hopefully just everyone listening and watching just can, just from your story, be encouraged to share their own story in their own voice and try to establish, their own sense of purpose. And I just wanted to thank you for just talking about how your sense of purpose is continuously being built and developed. But I also just want to say I have a personal experience with Nick and being able to run alongside of him. And one thing that was really encouraging is usually I would listen to music or something when I was running, but just being able to be on the bike path alongside of him and not listen to music and just feel so encouraged just running alongside of him. I just appreciated that so much, and I think that's huge. He doesn't listen to music anymore, and he doesn't do anything like that, and I think that's a huge part of it. It's all of him, and I feel like that allows kind of that installation of that specific purpose that you have within running. And so just thank you for just being, kind of an inspiration for me, and just allowing friends of yours to just be so known and loved, even, and something that you came along and ran alongside of me, even when I slowed down your time, but that didn't matter. And so I think that was just really encouraging, and just thank you so much for being able to share about your purpose and just allowing us to just really hear your story, because that's what we want to do. That's what we want to encourage others to really share their story and know that we each have our own individual voice. So we just appreciate you, Nick, and just thank you for your time and being able to come to Ohio University and be able to share. So everyone, thank you, Nick.
All right, everybody, that will conclude tonight's virtual streaming of the presentation. Thank you for joining us.